Hello artists! We're going to draw a Chinese dragon today. Here's my finished Chinese dragon. Let's get started. We're going to start in the middle of the paper. So you can have your paper tall like me, or if you want to turn your paper to be wide, that's fine too. So we're going to start in the center. We're going to start with the nostrils of our dragon. So I'm going to do two kind of darkened in ovals, or you could do circles, right in the center of the paper. Mine are about a finger apart, a little bit less. Next, let's draw some parentheses kind of around those two dots, kind of like hugging them in. That's another part of our dragon's nostril, so go ahead and do that. So far we kind of have this little shape. Let's draw that pointy shape next. So I'm going to bring that top part of the parenthesis a little bit closer to the center. And now I'm going to make a little dot in the center in between the openings of those two parentheses. So now I can just draw some diagonal lines down. And I have this pointy shape right kind of connecting the two nostrils together. So it's kind of like the peak of a house, like a roof. We're going to draw another little point kind of underneath the first one. So what I'm going to do is put my pencil right on the very tip top of the roof right there, and then pick up my pencil and move it down a little and make another little mark. So that's keeping it in the center, and now I'm just going to do two more lines to connect it all together. So it's still kind of pointing up in both spots. So the next shape I'm going to do is going to be another pointy shape, kind of like an ice cream cone that fell over. So I'm going to put my pencil on that dot again and then move it up and make another little mark. We're going to draw a bigger peak, a bigger point. So this for sure is my ice cream cone that fell on the ground, right? So this is like the bridge of his nose. So like the part that starts at the tip of your nose and kind of goes all the way up in between your eyes. We're going to draw some more pointy shapes in there, however many you would like. I fit 3 on this one, only 2 on that one, but that is just giving his bridge of his nose a little more texture. So next, let's move to our dragon's eyes. And if you'll notice on this example, the eyes are close to that tip top point, but a little bit underneath. So I'm going to draw eyes with a lemon kind of shape. And to get that lemon shape, what I like to do is first do the rainbow curve. So it looks like his eyes are closed right now, like he's really happy. Then let's do kind of a smile curve to connect the two ends of the rainbow. So I made those kind of like almond-shaped eyes, sometimes we say, or like lemon or football. And then I'm also going to give him a little pupil in each eye. All right, let's move on to some eyelashes. Now, if this dragon has dramatic eyes, I think in the slide it says he has the eyes of a demon. Let's give him some really cool lashes. So to do the lashes I did, what I first start out by doing is drawing kind of a little continuation of that smile curve. So see how I just made it a little bit longer in the corners of his eye. And then I'm going to add kind of like a zigzag line that's kind of on an angle, zigzag. So it kind of looks like he has like fire eyelashes. Excuse me. So once you have some nice eyelashes, let's move up a little more and we're going to draw our dragon's ears. So these ears are kind of like rounded peaks. So we were talking about the roof peak over here. Now we're going to make some that we start at the top, but they have a little bit more of a curve to them. So first thing I'm going to do is make 2 dots. So how I place them was I'm trying to make them about the same height. So see how they're close to the same height? This one might be a little too high. Close to the same height and kind of balanced. So they're even this way. See how it's like on the outside of his eye on both of them, and then they're also kind of straight. So that's going to keep my ears where they need to be. So then starting at that point, I'm going to draw a line that comes down and curves kind of at the bottom. So it goes down and curve the other way. Same thing over here, down and curve the other way. So that's my dragon's ears. If you want to add a little more texture in his ears, you could add these kind of curvy M shapes. They kind of look like M's, but with curved lines instead of straight lines, just to give him a little like furry ear. Next, let's connect his ears together. So his head's all in one piece. We'll just draw a little rainbow curve in between his ears. And then we get to move on to his mouth. So let's draw his teeth next. So I'm going to start like I'm going to make sure his teeth are this wide. How about that? So I made 2 little vertical lines on the sides of his nose. So that's going to show me how big I'm going to make his teeth. So I'm doing 1, 2. It looks like I fit 3 on that side. So I want to do 3 over here too. 1, 2, 3. So with a nice zigzag line, I gave him a big old mouthful of teeth. After he has teeth, now we're going to let's draw his tongue next. So we're going to draw kind of a mix between a U and a V. So it comes down like a V. So there's 2 angles coming towards each other. And then the very bottom is curved like the letter U. So it's kind of like a U and a V mixed together. All right, let's keep going. This time we're going to go straight down and kind of go curved and across. This is kind of like a U, but it's also kind of like a little more squared than a U, right? I don't know a good name for that one. We'll have to think of one. But we're going to do that shape 2 times. So it goes kind of straight down and then curves and goes around. So it's kind of like a U shape. That's like his bottom jaw. So like the bottom of his mouth. Let's also give him some zigzag teeth on the bottom. So now he's got this great mouth with all these sharp teeth and these great ears. Let's give him a little mustache. So I'm going to follow the curve of the bottom of his nostril and then bring it up and do kind of like a little curly Q. Maybe you want to do something a little different for his little whiskers. But I like that one. It kind of looks like what does it look like? Like a rope, like wrapped up in a coil. So now we just need to kind of connect his head together. So let's draw some curved lines to bring the ear to the mouth on both sides. Ooh, that one got a little weird. Let's try that again. And I'm going to kind of put it a little bit wider at the bottom as well so that it kind of gives him a little more of a jaw. I'm making a video. I'll talk to you in a little bit. So now I have a head, and let's move it up to his fiery mane, like his hair. So you can do your fiery mane how you like. I'm going to start with 2 kind of like diagonal lines out from his head. So kind of like a V if his chin is the point of our V. And then I'm going to add some kind of fiery flames. So for me, what I do is I draw a curve, kind of like a hook, like a little candy cane. And then I kind of draw the same shape. So I'm drawing the same thing back right next to the first one. Now, if you just want to do zigzags, that's a great idea. If you want to do just kind of some other type of point, that's okay. But I'm going to draw some kind of different little fiery flames for his hair, his mane. And I realized that we forgot to draw his horns. So I'm going to draw a couple different horn options while you're drawing manes, and you can figure out what you want to do for horns. Just some pointy horns. Or maybe some that look a little more like tree branches with little straight lines. And U to the sidelines. I'm not sure which one I like better. So I'm going to add some lines on there too, just a little bit more texture. So now I have 2 different kinds of horns. We forgot that step. So by now you should have hair and horns, and we can start to move into this really cool twisty body shape. So your dragon's body could move in a lot of different twists, right? Because it's like really long, kind of like snake-like. So we're going to start with one of the sides of his body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start This looks like the right side for you, so we'll just call it the right side. For me, it's my left, but my camera makes everything a mirror. So we're going to start on one side and draw a line that kind of curves up from his head, and then it needs to kind of curve down. So I guess it kind of looks like a really big C, right? So I'm going to stop about here because I think if you get too crazy with the curves, it gets confusing when you try to add the other side. So now, since we have this really big C, let's sort of draw the other side of him, but we're going to start on the other side of his head, right, kind of up by his mane. And we're going to draw a shape that kind of stays parallel. So it's kind of going to follow the same curve of the first one. We're trying to keep them pretty evenly spaced. The only thing is up here, it's a lot thicker and it gets a little bit closer together as we get down farther. Okay. So I want him to have a lot more interesting tail than to just end now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start continuing to draw the rest of some of these curves. So what I did was I drew one side and I drew a line that continued to where the body is. Now I'm not going to draw on top of the body, so I'm going to jump over and draw another little wavy line. Wow, my tail is going to be crazy over there. So now to finish this shape, I'm going to have to smooth out this line a little bit. I'm going to have to draw that line again. So that's going to be a curve. See, I'm following the same line, but I don't want to draw on top of my body. I better stop and lift up my tool, and then let's draw the rest of his tail. Ooh, that's so long. And then at the end, I just kind of made it round. Maybe you want to make it pointy. That's up to you. So start with that C curve and then figure out how you can keep his tail sort of a 3D, not 3D, a shape rather than a line, okay? And then we're going to add his little clam belly. That was part of the description. And so for me, I'm going to start close to one of the sides that I already drew and add in another curve. So that curve ended early because it's just his belly, and that rest of this part's got to be more tail. So I'm going to add some lines for some texture on his belly. And then the last thing that I really need to add is his arms. So sort of up near his mane, I'm going to imagine that those arms are connected all the way back through here. So if you want to, you can just draw 2 straight lines for his arm and then add some type of paw. I use kind of like a really pointy M. But I think for this one, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to draw 2 straight lines, and then I'm going to draw 2 little lines that kind of bend. So they're kind of curved in. So maybe like this is his elbow. Let's draw the other side of his arm. So we're drawing the similar lines, right? Just a little bit away from the first one. And then now let's draw that curvy M shape. I like that. And I'm going to kind of give him some little fingernails too. All right, great. So my dragon is ready to be traced with a Sharpie, or if you don't have a Sharpie, a sharp black crayon or a black colored pencil. What we're not going to use is we don't want to use marker because this is going to be painted. So you don't want to use let me find the black one. You don't want to use a regular marker because then it's going to spread when it gets painted later on. So find a crayon or a colored pencil or a Sharpie to trace your dragon lines. All right, artists, I have traced my drawing with a black tool, either a Sharpie or colored pencil or crayon. We don't want to use marker, remember, because that will, when it gets wet, it'll change. So we want to keep something that won't change when it gets wet. So once you're all done, make sure that you add your name in the bottom corner somewhere so that when another artist gets your work, they can add their name too and continue this collaboration. All right, happy creating.